Welcome to the 15 most haunted natural places in Mexico, where breathtaking landscapes hide chilling secrets and eerie legends. From ancient ruins to dark, forgotten forests, these locations are not only stunning, but also home to some of the most terrifying spirits. Are you ready to uncover the dark side of Mexico's natural beauty? Stay tuned as we reveal the spine-tingling tales that will leave you questioning what lurks in the shadows. 1. Las Grutas de Cacahuamilpa, Cacahuamilpa Caves, Guerrero. Deep within the labyrinth of Las Grutas de Cacahuamilpa lies a darkness untouched by time. Tourists are drawn to its magnificent stalactites and stalagmites, but few know the eerie tales of those who ventured too far. Guides warn visitors never to stray from the group, but not everyone listens. One story recounts a young man who separated from his group to explore a narrow, unmarked passage. As he moved deeper into the cavern, the air grew colder, and the echoes of his footsteps seemed to shift. Suddenly, he heard a faint, melodic humming, almost like a lullaby. Drawn to the sound, he found himself in a chamber with a small pool of water that shimmered unnaturally in the faint light of his torch. Kneeling by the pool was the figure of a woman, her back turned. He called out, but she didn't respond. When he approached closer, she turned to face him, revealing hollow eye sockets and a twisted skeletal grin. Frozen in terror, he stumbled backward, his screams echoing through the cavern. Hours later, his group found him near the entrance, shaking uncontrollably, unable to speak. Locals believe the woman is the spirit of a miner who perished in the caves centuries ago, eternally luring the curious to their doom. 2. Cenote Sagrado, Sacred Cenote, Chich&eacute. Cenote Sagrado is more than just a natural wonder. It's a portal to the past, steeped in blood and sacrifice. The Maya believed it was a sacred passage to the underworld, and countless offerings, including human lives, were made to appease the gods. Visitors often feel an overwhelming sense of unease standing near its edge. One tale speaks of a woman who visited with her family. While taking photos, she felt a sudden pull, as if someone were tugging her toward the water. Her husband grabbed her just in time, but she swore she heard whispers rising from the depths. That night, she dreamed of faceless figures emerging from the cenote, their hands outstretched, their voices pleading in an ancient language. When she woke, she found scratches on her arm, as if someone had clawed at her in desperation. Locals warn visitors not to linger too long, especially at dusk, when the spirits of the sacrificed are said to rise, seeking company in their watery grave. 3. Sumidero Canyon, Chiapas. Towering cliffs and lush greenery make Sumidero Canyon breathtaking, but its beauty hides a dark history. During the Spanish conquest, many indigenous warriors leaped to their deaths here, choosing freedom over enslavement. Their spirits are said to haunt the canyon, and their cries echo through the towering walls. One kayaker recounted a chilling experience. While paddling alone, he noticed the water around him growing unnaturally still. Suddenly, a dense mist rolled in, obscuring his view. As he drifted, he heard faint drum beats and the sound of warriors chanting in the distance. Thinking it was just his imagination, he continued until he felt a sudden coldness wrap around him. Looking down, he saw shadowy hands reaching from the water, clawing at his kayak. Terrified, he paddled back to shore as fast as he could, but the whispers and chants followed him. Locals believe the spirits of the fallen still roam the canyon, forever reliving their final moments of defiance. 4. La Zona del Silencio, Zone of Silence, Durango. Known for its strange phenomena, La Zona del Silencio is a place where radios and compasses fail, and mysterious lights dance in the night sky. But its true horror lies in the unexplained disappearances. One chilling tale involves a researcher who ventured into the zone to study its magnetic anomalies. Days later, his team found his abandoned equipment, but no trace of him. His journal, left behind, detailed his growing paranoia. He wrote of seeing shadowy figures watching him from the distance, always just out of reach. On his final entry, he described hearing a strange melodic voice calling his name. The journal ended abruptly, with ink smeared across the page. Locals believe the zone is a gateway to another dimension, where those who enter are taken by otherworldly beings, never to return. 5. Popocatépetl, Volcano, Puebla. Popocatépetl, an active volcano steeped in Aztec legend, is said to be guarded by restless spirits. Many climbers and locals report seeing ghostly figures wandering the slopes, often accompanied by glowing orbs of light. One haunting story tells of a climber who camped near the base of the volcano. In the middle of the night, he was awakened by the sound of footsteps circling his tent. Thinking it was another climber, he unzipped the tent to look, but no one was there. Returning to bed, he suddenly heard a low, guttural growl and saw a shadow pass over his tent. Terrified, he decided to leave immediately. As he packed, he looked up toward the peak and saw a line of figures marching silently up the volcano, their bodies glowing faintly in the dark. Locals say they are the spirits of ancient warriors, eternally guarding the volcano and its sacred power. 6. Barranca del Cobre, Copper Canyon, Chihuahua. Copper Canyon is a breathtaking natural wonder, but hidden within its vast network of canyons are stories of terror and despair. Among the Tarahumara people, it's said that wandering spirits haunt the narrow trails, their cries echoing off the canyon walls. One haunting tale involves a hiker who ventured deep into the canyon alone. As night fell, he built a fire, but the darkness around him seemed alive. He began to hear whispers, soft at first, then louder, as if multiple voices were speaking at once. The whispers seemed to come from the very rocks themselves, growing more urgent. Suddenly, he saw a woman standing at the edge of his campfire's light. She was draped in traditional Tarahumara clothing, her face obscured by shadows. He called out to her, but she didn't respond. Instead, she pointed toward the canyon's edge. When he turned to look, there was nothing there. When he turned back, the woman was gone. The next morning, he found strange footprints circling his campsite, too small for an adult, but too large for a child. Locals believe the spirits of those who perished in the canyon still wander, searching for a way out of the endless maze of rock and shadow. 7. El Espinazo del Diablo, Devil's Backbone, Durango. This winding mountain road is as treacherous as its name suggests, but it's not just the sharp curves that terrify travelers. The Devil's Backbone is infamous for ghostly apparitions that appear to drivers at night. One truck driver shared his chilling experience. Late one foggy evening, he was navigating the dangerous route when he saw a woman in white standing on the roadside, her hand raised as if hitchhiking. Against his better judgment, he stopped. The woman climbed into the passenger seat without a word, her face hidden by a veil. As he drove, he tried to make conversation, but she remained silent. When he glanced over, she was suddenly gone. Moments later, his truck's engine stalled, and he felt a freezing cold hand on his shoulder. Terrified, he abandoned his truck and ran back toward the last village he had passed. Locals warn travelers never to stop for hitchhikers on the Devil's Backbone, as many believe they are spirits of those who died in tragic accidents along the perilous road. 8. Las Pozas de Edward James, Xilitla, San Luis Potosí. The Surreal Gardens of Las Pozas, nestled in the lush jungle of Xilitla, are both enchanting and deeply unsettling. Built by eccentric artist Edward James, the gardens feature towering stone sculptures, staircases that lead to nowhere, and an overwhelming sense of mystery. While the site draws visitors from around the world, locals speak of strange occurrences within the dense vegetation and looming structures. One story tells of a photographer who ventured into the gardens alone at dusk. As she set up her camera near one of the iconic arches, she heard faint whispers in the distance. Thinking it was the rustling of leaves, she ignored it. But as the sun dipped lower, the whispers became distinct voices, murmuring in a language she couldn't understand. Looking through her camera lens, she saw a shadowy figure standing atop one of the sculptures, its form barely distinguishable from the jungle's shadows. She spun around, but no one was there. When she returned to her camera, the figure was now closer, staring directly at her through the lens. Panicked, she abandoned her equipment and fled, only to find her way blocked by overgrown vines that hadn't been there before. The voices grew louder, surrounding her, until she screamed and ran blindly into the darkness. She eventually stumbled back to the main path, but when she returned the next day for her camera, it was gone. Visitors often report feeling watched in Las Pozas, as if the jungle and sculptures themselves are alive, guarding the secrets of Edward James's haunting masterpiece. Locals warn that the gardens have a way of playing tricks on those who stay too long, pulling them deeper into its otherworldly embrace. 9. Lake Chapala, Jalisco. Lake Chapala, Mexico's largest freshwater lake, is a serene destination by day. But when night falls, its waters hide a much darker side. Legends tell of a spectral woman who walks along the shoreline, weeping for her lost children. One evening, a couple camping by the lake heard soft sobbing near their tent. Thinking it was another camper in distress, they went to investigate. As they approached the source of the sound, they saw a woman standing at the water's edge, her long black hair cascading over her shoulders. She was barefoot, her white dress soaked at the hem. They called out to her, but she didn't react. Instead, she slowly turned to face them, revealing a face pale as death and eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. The woman began to walk toward them, her steps unnaturally slow, as if she were gliding. Terrified, the couple ran back to their tent, but when they turned to look, she was gone. Locals say she is the spirit of a mother who drowned in the lake long ago, eternally searching for her lost children. Some claim to hear her cries at night, warning others to stay away from the water after dark. 10. Tepoztl&, Morelos. The picturesque town of Tepoztl&, nestled in the mountains, is known for its mystical energy and UFO sightings. But its dark legends are just as captivating. The mountain Tepozteco, sacred to the Aztecs, is said to be a gateway between worlds, where spirits and otherworldly beings roam. One local story tells of a hiker who decided to climb the mountain alone. As he ascended, he noticed strange lights in the sky, moving in patterns unlike any aircraft. Dismissing them as a natural phenomenon, he continued until he reached a secluded clearing. There he saw a circle of stones glowing faintly in the moonlight. As he stepped closer, he heard faint chanting, though no one was around. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a shadowy figure emerged from the circle, its form shifting and impossible to define. The hiker froze, unable to move as the figure approached, Just before it touched him, he blacked out. When he woke up, he was back at the base of the mountain, with no memory of how he got there. Locals believe the mountain guards its secrets fiercely, and those who wander alone risk encountering beings that don't belong to this world. 11. Xochimilco, the Floating Gardens, Mexico City. Xochimilco, famous for its vibrant canals and colorful boats, hides a sinister reputation after dark. While tourists flock to its beauty by day, locals speak of shadowy figures that roam the waters at night, whispering in hushed tones about the Isla de las Muñecas, the island of the dolls. One chilling tale recounts a group of friends who decided to explore the canals after sunset. As they rowed closer to the island, an unnatural silence enveloped them, broken only by the sound of water dripping from the dangling, decaying dolls. Suddenly, one of the friends claimed to hear a child's faint giggle echoing through the reeds. Thinking it was a prank, they laughed nervously, but the giggle grew louder, followed by a rustling sound in the trees. When they turned their flashlight toward the dolls, they froze. One of the dolls was no longer hanging from its string, but standing on the edge of the boat, its lifeless eyes staring directly at them. In terror, they fled the canals, vowing never to return. Locals believe the island is cursed, haunted by the restless spirit of a young girl who drowned in the waters. 12. Hierve el Agua, Oaxaca. The breathtaking petrified waterfalls of Hierve el Agua captivate visitors during the day, but at night, it becomes a realm of dread. Ancient Zapotecs once considered this place sacred, and many believe their spirits still linger, guarding the site. One traveler, determined to camp overnight, spoke of an unsettling experience. As the moon rose, he noticed faint glowing figures at the edge of the waterfalls. Thinking it was another group, he called out, but they didn't respond. Instead, they began to drift closer, their forms becoming clearer. He realized they weren't human, but translucent shapes, their faces distorted in pain. Frozen in fear, he could only watch as one of the figures reached out toward him. A chilling breeze passed through him, leaving him gasping for air. At sunrise, the figures vanished, but he found strange symbols etched into the ground near his tent. Locals warn visitors never to stay after dark, as the spirits of those who perished here are said to rise with the moon. 13. Paricutín Volcano, Michoacán. The youngest volcano in the world, Paricutín, emerged dramatically in a farmer's field in 1943. But beneath its awe-inspiring history lies a chilling legend. The towns it engulfed, San Juan Parangaricutiro and Paricutín, are said to be cursed, and the spirits of those who couldn't escape haunt the hardened lava flows. A local guide tells the story of a group of hikers who ventured too close to the remnants of the buried church. As they explored the ruins, they began to hear faint chanting, as if from an old mass. Thinking it was just their imagination, they continued deeper into the blackened terrain. Suddenly, one of the hikers screamed, claiming she saw figures walking among the lava, their bodies charred and glowing faintly red, like embers. The group hurried back, but the whispers and chanting followed them all the way to their campsite. That night, their tent shook violently, and the same glowing figures appeared outside, watching silently. The next morning, the hikers found claw-like marks scorched into the volcanic rock near their site. 14. Sótano de las Golondrinas, Cave of Swallows, San Luis Potosí. This massive cave, known for its incredible depth and the thousands of birds that reside there, is both a wonder and a source of terror. Locals whisper that it is a gateway to the underworld, and many who descend never return. One spelunker recounted a terrifying ordeal. As he rappelled down into the dark abyss, his equipment suddenly jammed. Stranded mid-air, he heard faint whispers echoing from below. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the whispers grew louder, forming incomprehensible words. Then, out of the darkness, he saw glowing eyes staring up at him. As he struggled to free himself, a shadowy figure began to rise, floating closer and closer. Just as it was about to reach him, his equipment miraculously loosened, and he was able to ascend. When he reached the surface, he realized his ropes had been inexplicably frayed, as if something had tried to sever them. Locals believe the cave is home to ancient spirits guarding secrets no human should uncover. 15. La Huasteca, Nuevo León. The rugged cliffs and lush landscapes of La Huasteca are stunning by day, but as night falls, the area takes on a sinister tone. Many hikers have reported seeing ghostly figures wandering the trails, and some even claim to hear disembodied voices calling their names. One particularly chilling story involves a group of climbers who camped at the base of a cliff. Around midnight, they noticed faint lights moving along the rocky face. Thinking it was another group, they called out, but the lights stopped abruptly. Moments later, they heard footsteps circling their tent, accompanied by the sound of someone whispering in an unfamiliar language. When they stepped outside to investigate, they found no one there. However, strange handprints were left on the rocks, too large and elongated to be human. The next morning, a local guide told them about Los Vigilantes, the Watchers, ancient spirits said to guard the sacred land. Those who disturb the peace of La Huasteca are often visited by these mysterious entities. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey through the 15 most haunted natural places in Mexico. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, these eerie encounters and ghostly legends are sure to send shivers down your spine. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling stories from the world's most haunted locations.